It criminalizes abortion basically for pregnancy unless the woman's life is at risk. And so what I've been seeing online is a lot of women sharing their stories. One woman was speaking about she was having I think she had to have a D&C or something like that, and they wouldn't allow her to. So she then had to basically risk her life and go in, I think, and have a cesarean or something, still give birth to this baby that was no longer alive. And so, and now it caused her health issues, long-term health issues, as you know, for them to try again and things like that, because she wasn't able to get the help that she needed.
That's the Texas woman, right, Rebecca?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I seen more testimonies of people underneath the comment section and things of that sort. And I couldn't imagine being in that position, you wanting a family, but right now, you know, this pregnancy, you can't go through with it, right? Medically, you're not, it's hurting your body. So, you know, the baby is not going to make it, but they're going to criminalize you if you go and get this abortion. So now she had to do that, and she has long-term health issues because of it, because they wanted to. I know this is like Arizona Republicans and a legislator, the legislation there that they were trying to push, but I don't know too much about it. So I wanted to know if you guys had any more insight on it, my camera. But while I get that together, I didn't know if you guys have any more insight on it.
We talked about it earlier. We talked about it before, yeah, before you came on. But essentially, as Binder was saying, it's apparently they used the precedent of a law from like 1866 or something to justify the entire ordeal. But yeah, I mean, it's older than 1866 in my eyes. It feels
1864. It was 1864.
1864. Yeah, but it feels again medieval. If we're going to go to a system where like women are going to die, that's what's going to happen. That's the end result of these policies: is that women die, babies die. It's horrifying, and doctors become criminals overnight.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, this is the woman's story that Rebecca's talking about. This is actually an ad that Biden released, and I have my criticisms of Biden, but this is a really good ad.
Okay.
This is one of our willow boxes. This is just filled with some of the things that we had started gathering for her while I was pregnant.
Yep.
Here's her little baby book.
Oh, man.
This is the outfit that she was gonna maybe wear home from the hospital. All of these. This is the blanket that she was in.
Jesus.
And these are her little footprints.
Wow.
It's okay.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
That broke my heart into all the little pieces. Like I seen they were speaking about it and they were sharing her testimony, and other people were too. But watching that, and of course, you know, I know that was for Joe Biden to push his campaign, but that is like a strong case, though. She's not the only one that probably had to deal with something like that. But imagine being pregnant, miscarrying, not being able, because they would criminalize you to go and get a D&C or whatever you needed in that moment, and to have that baby taken out properly to save your life. And they want to criminalize you for that. But then you ended up getting sepsis. And now, you know, the implications from that, long-term health issues. You want your baby, you want a baby, you want a family, and you may possibly never be able to do that because of something like this, a law like this that's put in place that criminalizes you for something that you can't control. And you were looking for health care for it.
Right. We should say, because in case one of us or, you know, we ever upload this episode as a podcast, we should say that in between those, you know, the family talking was text on the screen that basically said that the doctors couldn't do anything for her because of Trump, you know, the repeal of Roe v. Wade, that she almost died of sepsis twice after she was rushed to the hospital. The damage that was done may result in her never being able to get pregnant again. And then the final, you know, text on the screen said Trump did this. I think it's important to say that for people who might be listening to just the audio, because if you're just hearing this family cry and then Joe Biden come in at the end saying, I support this message, it came off a bit weird. Yeah. It's important to see the visuals and the text on screen. Yes.
And these stories are important because I think that so many Republicans, they had this weird like caricature of women who get abortions in their head, where it's like, oh, you know what, I'm 8 months pregnant, I changed my mind, or I had the baby, you know what, throw it in the garbage. Like they literally think that, like Trump just said that. And so they don't understand that, like, first and foremost, most abortions occur like at the very, very, very beginning stage. But when they're later on, oftentimes it's because they, like, if you realize that there is a 0% chance of survival for your baby, and you're given the option of carrying it to term and pushing out a baby that will live for like an hour and then die quickly, or not having to have your heart broken like that, like, you should be able to make that choice, right? And people think that it's not that complicated. They think it's just very black and white, where it's like, okay, this is murder or not murder. And so that's why you even saw like a lot of stories in, I think within the first year of Roe, where people who were previously pro-life came out and said, oh, wow, I didn't realize that this would affect me because I had a miscarriage and now my doctor doesn't feel confident giving me the procedure that I need because it's the identical procedure that they give for people who want abortions, and I'm not sick enough yet. So I have to come back when I'm sick. And so it's like a wake-up call to a lot of people, which is why I think it's radicalized so many normies, because they never thought of it that deeply. Like a lot of people just took abortion for granted because we've had it for, since what was it, 1970, when Roe v. Wade was decided at the Supreme Court. And so like, it was easy to be pro-life when you've never thought about these actual individual stories. But the fact that these stories are so common and they are in everyone's face, like, I think it's going to have a huge impact, on the election.
I mean, it already is. It already is having a huge impact.
Yeah.
Every single place where this has been on the ballot, Democrats, the adjacent Democratic races, the Democrats won in places where even like, Republicans could usually would win.
Kansas.
This has been a winning issue for Democrats, and I don't mean to like take this and turn it into electoral politics, but I mean, the fact that it happened is due to electoral politics. But like the Republicans are running on a losing issue, and like I mentioned earlier, some of them know it and are trying to run from it now. Like, just a couple months ago they're going, we did this, and now when this happens and people like us say you did this, they go, no, after they were going, we did this. But this is an issue that they will never win, and this can be, honestly, this could be the issue that, if they continue to run on being, pro-life like this, or anti-abortion, I should say, then that's the issue that's going to further ostracize them. That's it for Republicans if they're going to keep going with this. And there's all signs show they are, even after, even though they're out there saying, like Donald Trump and Carrie Lake are out there saying, oh, we don't support this law. They really do. I mean, everything they've done up to this moment supports that law.
Supports the law, yeah.
That was probably the most effective Democratic ad I've seen. Like, that was very effective. There was no bullshit. It was just a straight up message from these from people that were affected by this. And that was, if they keep putting out ads like that and enough people see that's going to have an effect.
Yeah. And I think her story, and again, from her story, I've read so many other people's stories related to it. And again, I benefited from, in my own life, where I was able to, and regardless of my beliefs, my parents' beliefs, or whatever the case may be, in a moment in time, I benefited from being able to have access to get an abortion. And so, like, hearing other people's stories, and I know people who, if they couldn't get access to, getting an abortion or however, there's the black market clinics, where they're putting their lives at risk to go and do this because they either know that they can't have the baby. I know somebody who kept getting pregnant, but it was not working out for her. She couldn't carry a baby to term and was told by doctors she could not carry a baby to term. And so she just chose, like, okay, this is not going to be something I want to do. She ended up getting pregnant. She was married. But they denied her. She had to go to another state. She had to literally take off work, pick up, go to another state so that she can handle this, because she knew she didn't want to go through that again. The mental stress, she went through so many miscarriages. And so at that point, her and her partner decided they just weren't going to do it anymore. And so she just went off somewhere. She had to go to another state, pay for a hotel, all these type of things just so that she can get the proper care. But I also know people who had to go elsewhere to who knows what pill they're being given, but they had to trust that this was the pill that they needed by somebody else having access to it. And in the black market clinics for this, they were getting these pills and just trusting that this was going to be something that was an abortion pill or whatever. But this is what happens. People are desperate, or people need this type of healthcare, and they're taking it away because they're choosing, they're saying they're making it equivalent to you murdering a baby. And meanwhile, what's happening in Palestine? They ain't worried about them kids. They ain't worried about them kids. Then a whole bunch of people who have abortions or who have access to it are usually, women who are in church or have cheated or whatever. They get free access to this stuff. People's mistresses, some of your favorite Republicans and them, they get to give them the access to these abortions or whatever. But people who actually need them for whatever reason, for health reasons, like this one woman who is not the only woman. She's not the only story. There are so many people like that. But this law limits people from getting the health care that they need. Now she has to suffer with long-term health issues for a family that she wants. If she would have gotten the healthcare that she needed in that time, she probably would have a family today.
Wow. That's based on what you were just talking about. Did all of you hear what happened to Fresh and Fit? Fresh and Fit.
I heard something happened. I don't know what happened. What happened?
It's exactly what you're just mentioning. Fresh from Fresh and Fit ended up impregnating a sex worker, and the sex worker was DMing him, and we know now because she leaked all the DMs, and they've since admitted that this is all real. After impregnating the sex worker, she was like, "I want to have the baby, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to have an abortion." He's like, "No, I don't want to be a father. You have to have the abortion, blah, blah, blah." When on their show, the Fresh and Fit podcast, is all about men got to take personal responsibility, all this kind of shit, all that kind of stuff.
Of course, they're full of shit. Of course,
not when it happens to you.
Of course.
Was it the guy Myron who was nearly teary-eyed, going on a rant, I support him no matter what? Okay, so you're just all hypocrites. Shut up.
Those are the people though that will sit up there and say like Republicans do. They're like, I support life. Meanwhile, they got 10 abortions in the bag already for whoever.
Easy.
Or the women who are quietly having them. This is sometimes a situation of, hey, you guys are thinking that this is, we just are popping abortion pills. I don't care what, social media, culture, logistics, or whatever they do want to have those conversations. That's just a small portion of what people are in predicaments where they don't have access to it much. So they know if I have this child's going to come into a system. I can't give for them. I can't provide for them. This is going to, I don't want to put them in a system. They think about those things. So they know right now in the early stages, I'm going to go ahead and terminate my pregnancy. Rape happens, right? And now those are things that people are not considering. But there's life in this body. There's life in this person. It could be a underaged young girl who's carrying a child because of rape. And they're just but this is God's will for their life. But there's an option to give this person a life. Let this child be a child. But now here we are. But they don't see that. But for them, they can quietly and go make sure they take care of those things, but then and present themselves as something different and opposite. So I don't like it. I think, again, people can have their take on abortion, whatever. I once had my take on abortion as well, but then life hit me. And so, just knowing we need to be able to have that choice for whatever reason. But I think for health reasons, man, that shouldn't even be something that you take away. This woman's body was at risk. She could have died. And now she can't even have the life that she wants because of that. Possibly never being able to have a child. Look, she really wanted it. They were set up. They were doing all this stuff. And, she doesn't get a chance to really try again. with some kind of security because of this happening there. The fact that this was preventative, like there was,
it's an unnecessary tragedy.
It was, you see what I'm saying? It was just because, a whole bunch of white men said, women's bodies, we need to control it. And, you can't, abortion is not God, is not godly. Yeah. I love the Lord, and abortion worked out for me. So
yeah, you know what?
It's also in the Bible.
Yeah,
that's true. I don't think that these politicians
water
in particular even believe the shit that they say. I think that to the extent they want to criminalize abortion, it's just because they want to control women. That's what this is about. Like, if I said this earlier, I'll say it again because I think it's an important point. If they really thought abortion was murder, they would treat it that way, right? They wouldn't make exceptions for their mistresses. They wouldn't make exceptions for states. I believe in states' rights, so some states can allow this murder to continue. Like, you wouldn't treat it that way. Like, you don't actually believe it's murder. Like, you wouldn't be protesting outside of a clinic where they're doing murders. You would storm the clinic, right? It's also disingenuous.
Well, some people do.
Some of them do, but I mean, for the most part,
yes.
right?
It's the same thing with, if you cared about child's rights, you would care about the second they were born and provide for the families and the mothers and all that kind of shit, right?
They do that. They do that, right? No, we'll take care of you while you're pregnant. Are you guys doing that for real? Are you providing these mothers with the healthcare that they need? Are you doing? Because right after that baby,
they want to cut WIC.
It's like,
food stamps.
After that, they're like, yeah, you're on your own. Like, oh, we'll provide you with the resources. After that baby comes out, these babies are on their own. Some of them are put into systems. Some of them, like, it's ridiculous. Some of them are born with defects. Some of them, it's so many different things, and they're not thinking about that. It becomes expensive for a poor mom to have to take care. Like, just think about that. Like, they don't, and America will have this whole idea, we care about the kids, America love the kids. And then all of a sudden kids come out and there's like so much that all these kids that they were saying you must have, will support you through your pregnancy. Then babies come out, ain't no help. There's nothing. There's nothing.
It blew my mind like 2 years ago to find out that you have to pay to give birth in the U.S. And the average is $7,000 to $12,000.
Very expensive.
Yeah, because in Canada you don't pay out of pocket for your birth, right?
Don't rub that in our faces.
Well, okay. I'm not doing that. I'm doing that because I was like, but that's insane to me how you can actually expect people to go bankrupt and yet constantly talk about how pro-life you are and how much the sanctity of birth and all this kind of stuff. It's going to cost you $10,000 though. Like if you only have like $400 in your bank account, how do you do it? What do? Do you just give birth at home? Do you just you just say, fuck it? Do you like, again,
no, you'll be able to do it. So many parents literally use what they can, like do what they need. I know my mama was sick and tired of getting pregnant. That lady been pregnant since she was 17. She just pregnant every day, right? Fertile, right? So with her being a migrant here, her not having she worked at a hot dog stand when she first got here, and I saw the stresses of having like 4 kids in the house that were all we were all around the same age, but her trying to do all of that was a struggle, with my dad trying to make sure he holds down a job. So they don't make it easy for you anyway. Like you already got to do 6 jobs. We had to be home. And this is back in the day. So it was my sister, who was maybe 4 years older than me, locked the door while we have to make this money to make sure that you guys can eat or whatever, when we were younger. And it took years for us to really see, something really take place in our lives when it came, until I was 15 or something. But I know a friend of mine who was in the system. She came here to visit her family. Same thing. It was locked the door. They didn't have money to put the baby in a babysitter or whatever the case may be. And if we were at babysitters, they were babysitting us illegally. Right. So she went to the door and there was a caseworker. The neighbors told, and there was a caseworker, and my friend who was from Haiti didn't speak English at the time. The system took her. So her family was in Haiti. She lost contact with her family in Haiti because the system took her. And she's been in the system ever since, in her whole entire life. She doesn't know her real last name. They changed it, first of all, and then she didn't have a real social security. They changed her. They did this overnight. They changed her birth date and everything, and she became a part of the system. So they don't take care of kids. They just throw you in a system or whatever the case may be. America does not care about children. They want to act like they do. They don't care about people being parents for real. They want to act like they do. They will help you up until when that baby comes out, you're on your own. And then with kids, we're going to throw them into whatever system, knowing that these foster care people, they sometimes they create trauma for these children, and they're just getting a check. And so it's like we're not really curating spaces for these kids to really go into somewhere where it's actually a fitting family. They're not going to do none of that work. It's just, this is a Haitian kid. Like, we took her away from her family. They don't give a damn. They don't care. America does not truly care about what the things that they care about. And one thing is about children. They do not care. I don't see that. They don't care about children, because if they did, programs like WIC or whatever wouldn't be up for people. Like, I think expires at a certain age. And it's like, okay, did something change for the parent? Are we checking in or whatever the case? No. As soon as the baby turns a certain age, WIC is over. You're on your own. You're on your own. You can't get the benefits anymore. It's just that type of, that's what it is.